If you're starting a garden in 2026, you have advantages that gardeners from even 5 years ago could only dream of. But you also face challenges that didn't exist before: climate unpredictability, soil depletion, and supply chain issues that can derail your entire growing season. Today, we're breaking down the exact step by step system for starting a garden from scratch, using the latest methods that work in today's conditions. Here's what most new gardeners get wrong: they start by buying plants and seeds without understanding their soil, their climate zone, or even what they actually want to grow. This backwards approach leads to failure rates of over 70% for first time gardeners, wasting hundreds of dollars and months of effort. The traditional gardening advice from 20 years ago doesn't work anymore. Weather patterns have shifted, soil quality has declined in most areas, and many heirloom varieties struggle in today's conditions. But when you follow this modern approach, you'll have a thriving garden that produces food and beauty while being resilient to whatever 2026 throws at you. Step 1 is soil testing, and this single step will save you more money and frustration than everything else combined. Before you plant anything, before you buy anything, you need to know what you're working with. A professional soil test costs $30 to $50 and tells you your pH levels, nutrient content, organic matter percentage, and soil structure. This information determines everything else you'll do. Most garden failures happen because people try to grow plants in soil that can't support them. Blueberries need acidic soil with a pH between 4.5 and 5.5. If your soil pH is 7, no amount of fertilizer will make blueberries thrive. You'll waste money on plants that are doomed from the start. The soil test also reveals heavy metal contamination, which is more common than people realize, especially in urban areas. Lead contamination makes vegetables unsafe to eat, no matter how well they grow. Testing first prevents you from creating a beautiful garden that produces toxic food. Here's the game changer for 2026. Many universities now offer comprehensive soil testing that includes micronutrient analysis and organic matter recommendations. This detailed information lets you build soil that's perfectly suited for what you want to grow. Step 2 is understanding your microclimate, because your zip code doesn't tell the whole story. Climate zones have shifted significantly in recent years. The USDA updated their hardiness zone map, and many areas are now one full zone warmer than they were 20 years ago. But your specific location might be different from the general zone designation. Your microclimate is affected by elevation, proximity to water, urban heat islands, and surrounding structures. A garden on the south side of a building might be 2 zones warmer than the same property's north side. Low-lying areas collect cold air and frost, while hilltops stay warmer but face more wind. The new reality is extreme weather events. Even if your average temperatures have warmed, you still need to prepare for unexpected late frosts, heat domes, and severe storms. This means choosing plants that can handle temperature swings of 20 to 30 degrees. Here's what works in 2026. Create multiple microclimates in your garden. Use thermal mass like rocks or water features to moderate temperatures. Plant windbreaks to protect sensitive plants. Design raised beds that drain quickly after heavy rains, but retain moisture during dry spells. Step 3 is choosing the right plants for today's conditions, and this is completely different from traditional recommendations. The varieties that worked for your grandparents might not survive in today's climate. You need plants that are heat-tolerant, disease-resistant, and adaptable to weather extremes. This means focusing on newer cultivars that have been bred specifically for climate resilience. For vegetables, look for varieties with multiple disease resistances. Tomatoes should be resistant to at least 3 major diseases: verticillium wilt, fusarium wilt, and tobacco mosaic virus. These diseases are more prevalent now due to increased humidity and temperature fluctuations. Native plants are your secret weapon for ornamental gardening. They're adapted to your local conditions and require less water, fertilizer, and pest control. But choose native plants that can handle the climate extremes we're seeing, not just the historical average conditions. Here's the 2026 advantage. Seed companies now offer climate-adapted collections specifically designed for changing conditions. These collections include varieties that have been tested in multiple climate zones and proven to perform well under stress. Before we continue with the remaining steps that will set your garden up for success, make sure you subscribe to this channel. These modern gardening methods are based on the latest research and real-world testing in today's challenging conditions. There's much more coming that will save you time, money, and frustration. Step 4 is building soil health from day one, because healthy soil is the foundation of everything. Traditional advice says to add compost and fertilizer, but that's not enough anymore. Soil health is about creating a living ecosystem that can support plants through extreme conditions. This means focusing on soil biology, not just soil chemistry. Start with a 2-inch layer of quality compost, but make sure it's fully finished and from a reputable source. Poor quality compost can introduce diseases and weed seeds that will plague your garden for years. The best compost is dark, crumbly, and smells earthy, never sour or ammonia-like. Add mycorrhizal fungi inoculant when you plant. These beneficial fungi form partnerships with plant roots, increasing nutrient uptake by up to 40% and improving drought tolerance. This biological approach is more effective than chemical fertilizers and creates long-term soil health. The game changer is biochar, charcoal that's been processed specifically for soil use. Biochar improves soil structure, retains nutrients, and provides habitat for beneficial microorganisms. It lasts for decades in the soil, making it a one-time investment that pays dividends for years. Step 5 is water management, and this is critical in our new climate reality. Water availability is becoming less predictable everywhere. Some areas face severe droughts, while others deal with flooding rains. Your garden needs to handle both extremes without losing productivity. Install drip irrigation from the beginning, even if you're starting small. Drip irrigation uses 60% less water than sprinklers and delivers water directly to plant roots where it's needed. The initial investment of $2 to $3 per square foot pays for itself in water savings within 2 years. Design your garden with water harvesting in mind. Swales and berms can capture rainwater and direct it to your plants. Rain barrels collect roof runoff for dry periods. These systems work together to make your garden more resilient to weather extremes. Mulching is more important than ever. A 3-inch layer of organic mulch reduces water evaporation by up to 70%, moderates soil temperature, and suppresses weeds. But choose your mulch carefully. Some materials can introduce pests or diseases. Step 6 is integrated pest management, because the old spray and pray approach doesn't work anymore. Pest populations have exploded in many areas due to warmer temperatures and disrupted ecosystems. At the same time, many chemical pesticides are being banned or restricted. This means you need a comprehensive approach that prevents problems rather than just treating them. Start with companion planting. Certain plant combinations naturally repel pests or attract beneficial insects. Marigolds planted with tomatoes reduce nematode populations. Basil planted with peppers improves flavor and repels aphids. These relationships have been proven by research, not just folklore. Create habitat for beneficial insects by planting native flowering plants throughout your garden. Beneficial insects need nectar sources and overwintering sites to maintain stable populations. A diverse ecosystem naturally keeps pest populations in check. Physical barriers are your first line of defense. Row covers protect young plants from flying pests. Copper tape around raised beds stops slugs and snails. These methods work immediately and don't create resistance like chemical treatments do. Step 7 is season extension, because the growing season is both longer and more unpredictable. Climate change has extended the growing season in most areas, but it's also made it less predictable. You might have warm weather in February followed by a hard freeze in March. Season extension techniques let you take advantage of good weather while protecting plants from sudden changes. Cold frames and hoop tunnels are simple structures that can extend your season by 4 to 6 weeks on both ends. They cost less than $100 to build and can increase your harvest by 50% or more. The key is making them easy to ventilate when temperatures spike unexpectedly. Succession planting is more important than ever. Instead of planting all your lettuce at once, plant a new row every 2 weeks. This ensures continuous harvests and reduces the risk of losing everything to a single weather event or pest outbreak. Indoor growing systems have become much more affordable and efficient. LED grow lights now cost 70% less than they did 5 years ago and use minimal electricity. A small indoor setup can provide fresh herbs and greens year-round, regardless of outdoor conditions. Step 8 is record keeping and adaptation, because every garden is different and conditions keep changing. The most successful gardeners in 2026 are those who track what works and what doesn't in their specific conditions. This means keeping detailed records of planting dates, varieties, weather conditions, and results. Use a digital garden journal or app that can track multiple variables and show patterns over time. Record not just what you planted, but soil temperatures, rainfall, pest problems, and harvest dates. This data becomes invaluable for making decisions in future seasons. Pay attention to phenology, the timing of natural events like first and last frost, when certain insects emerge, and when plants typically flower. These patterns are shifting, and local observations are more accurate than general climate data. The key is staying flexible and willing to change your approach based on results. The varieties that worked last year might not work this year. The planting schedule that was perfect in 2024 might be too early or too late in 2026. Step 9 is building community connections, because gardening is easier when you're not doing it alone. Join local gardening groups, both online and in person. These connections provide variety swaps, shared knowledge about local conditions, and support when problems arise. Local gardeners know which varieties perform best in your specific area and can warn you about emerging pest or disease problems. Connect with your local extension office. Extension agents have access to the latest research and can provide soil testing, plant identification, and problem diagnosis. Many extension offices now offer online resources and virtual consultations that make their expertise more accessible. Consider participating in community gardens or garden shares. These arrangements let you learn from experienced gardeners while sharing resources and knowledge. You'll discover techniques that work in your area and avoid mistakes that others have already made. Seed swaps and plant exchanges are more valuable than ever as gardeners adapt to changing conditions. Local varieties that have been grown in your area for several years are often better adapted than commercial varieties from distant locations. When you follow this systematic approach to starting a garden in 2026, you'll avoid the common mistakes that cause 70% of new gardens to fail. Your plants will be better adapted to current conditions, your soil will support healthy growth, and your garden will be resilient to weather extremes. The financial benefits are substantial. A well-planned garden can produce $500 to $1,000 worth of food per year from a space as small as 400 square feet. The initial investment of $200 to $300 pays for itself in the first season. More importantly, you'll have a garden that gets better every year instead of struggling